I want to talk about finance, but before we start, I want to lay a little bit background. Some people they don't want to have any financial advisor, partly because they think they don't need them, maybe they don't afford them. For whatever reason, they don't have financial advisors. But some people they have financial advisors, but some of these financial advisors, for whatever reason, they may not know certain things that's important to their clients, or maybe they're not sharing certain things that are very important to the investors. Today, based on my own experience and from the conversations that I've had with different people, I'm going to share with you certain things you should know. The goal is this: if you have never asked those questions, this is really wonderful opportunity for you. You know what kind of questions to ask your financial advisors, and also you become very, very intelligent investor, knowing your options and the kind of questions that you should raise and the kind of understanding you should have about your financial situations. To give you some origin story, I started financial education when we were in COVID. It was COVID. I was not traveling. I had time. I was not going out to meet people. And I decided, you know what? Let me study more about finance. I started to read books, listen to podcasts, shows, interviews. And after a while, I started to be confused because there are different gurus and different teachings and different methods and vehicles they suggest. They are committed, they are evangelists for one method, one vehicle, one approach. And I said, you know what? I'll start from scratch. I want to read books on securities. And also, I decided I want to read biographies of successful investors like Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett, Ken Griffin, and also the PayPal mafia, such as Elon Musk, Peter Thiel, David Sachs, and so on, and the founder of LinkedIn. I started to study these people. How do they raise capital? How do they invest? What are their principles? And also these fund managers, what kind of approach, what kind of principles and beliefs that they have? How do they evaluate companies? I was immersed. I was reading the biographies of these successful billionaire fund managers, investors, and so on. Finally, I said, you know what? Now I have enough knowledge for myself, but I know a lot of people don't have the basics. And I wanted to teach people, to share what I learned. I immediately realized that I could not do that. I could do in leadership, I can do in business brokerage, I can go out and teach people. But in finance, you have to have the right license to talk about the investment strategies, vehicles, and so on. And I needed to take license. So starting from 2022, I started to take these licenses: SIE, Series 65, life insurance, Series 6. And I took all these important licenses. I'm A to Z. I want to provide A to Z education on finance. I got the licenses, but it was not enough. I have to be attached with a financial institution to teach what I know, to do what I do now. And therefore, finally, this year, I decided, okay, I want to attach myself with a financial institution and work with prestigious financial institutions, some of which they have trillions of dollars under asset management. Today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you four or five, if we have time, conversations that I've had where the financial advisor should have known about those things, should have told to their class they didn't. Since you are in this conversation, you may find a couple of this important to your situation. I want to start first with an individual who had 401k in his organization. We were chatting, and I was asking what kind of retirement funds that you have, and he told me he has 401k, and I was asking about the nature of this corporate account 401k. He was telling me that the company matches 3% of my earning, and I match 10%, and I have 401k. I'm good. From his perspective, it's enough if he has just 401k. He didn't know he had also other options. The first question I asked him is, who advised you to match 10% of your income while the company is just matching 3%? What's the importance of matching above the 3%? He didn't have an answer. And my question was, who's advising you? No, nobody advised me. In our company, we have a financial department. We are always told if you have any financial question, you can go and ask them. And they are always encouraging us, whatever left money that you have, we already matched 3%. Whatever you have to invest in your retirement fund. Therefore, I don't, if somebody is not my client, I cannot recommend anything. I just said, you need to have this conversation with your financial advisors in your company. You want to know the benefit of why you should invest more than 3% while the company is just matching 3%. My explanation to him was, you have 401k, which is a corporate account. You don't have any control in that account. Plus, when you leave that company, you cannot contribute to that 401k. And most probably this 401k may not be generating the right return that you need. And therefore you want to figure out how much return you're getting from this 401k. If it's not satisfactory, there is no point for you to match more than 3%. You can take that 7% if your advisor encourages you to go out, open IRA, and invest it somewhere that can bring better return. Finally, he showed me the report. I saw the 401k. It was returning poorly. And there is no point for him to match 10%. He could have taken that 7% above the company matches and open his own individual IRA and put that money to work for him in funds that return so much better than the one the 401k is using. Of course, I'm not advising you here. I'm not saying do the same thing like this individual or take my word. You need to talk to your financial advisor to make sure that that's the right approach. But the key thing is this person didn't know that they don't need to match more than the company matches, and there are options for them to take the rest and invest somewhere. The second conversation I've had was, this individual is a self-employed individual. And as a self-employed individual, he doesn't have 401k because he is the employer and he is the employee. In our conversation, I was just asking him questions, and in the conversation, and I could realize that he has IRA and also Roth IRA. And I was asking him, how much are you investing every year? He told me both these accounts, in both these accounts, I invest up to $7,500,000, which is IRA's limit. And he's less than 50 years old, and therefore that was really a good investment. He's maxing all allowed by IRAs, which is $7,500,000 every year. And then I asked him, do you know other options that you have to invest in your retirement? He said, no. Who's your financial advisor? He uses his CPA, and his CPA didn't tell him that there is another retirement option for self-employed, which is SIP. And he didn't know about it. I encouraged him, go and talk to him about this. He went, talked to his financial advisor. He told him that, yeah, you can invest up to $72,000 every year as a self-employed, and also up to 20% of your income, the maximum $72,000. He didn't know, because this person want to invest in his retirement, and he only knew he could invest up to the IRS maximum only using the traditional Roth IRA and IRA. He didn't know about SIP, which is available for self-employed. Of course, I told him some exceptions. If you are not the only one, if there is someone also hired by you, you have to give the same deal for them. But if you are a solo self-employed, this is another opportunity to consider if you want to invest more than $7,500 towards your retirement. As you can see here, the option was there. He didn't know about it. The third conversation I had was with someone who had like 20 employees, and these 20 employees, they work hard, they love the company. It's a startup company. In the conversation, I was asking him whether he provides financial wellness workshop for them. He told me, no, I didn't have that kind of workshop for them. Are you considering to have this kind of workshop for you people? Yeah, I don't mind. And I considered, offering my own complementary financial wellness workshop. I said, I can provide this for your team. He said, it's a great idea. In the conversation, I asked him, what are you doing to help your people towards their retirement? He said, I want to have 401k, but easy. 401k is a lot of paperwork, complex. And I said, what? Once I have, let's say, 100 employees, then I'll start 401k. And then I asked him, is that the only option that you're told? Yeah, he told me I have a financial advisor, but they told me 401k is a to go. But since you have less than 100, just wait until then. You don't need to offer that kind of retirement option to them. But I explained to him, even if you have a couple of employees, you can offer. You can offer simple, which is one retirement option that you could match the earning, certain percentage of the earning of your employees, and it helps you to retain your great and dedicated employees. And this simple retirement program is available for companies, small companies, which have less than 100 employees. He didn't know. The final and the fourth one I'm going to share with you. This is a conversation with a very affluent individual. This person is technically and legally is an accredited investor. If in case you don't know what accredited investor means, it means somebody who earned in the past 2 years $200,000 per year. If they are married, $300,000 the last 2 years plus potential next year also they could be able to generate. If they have that kind of earnings, then they are accredited investors. Or if they have a net worth of $1 million minus their resident home, they are accredited. And there are some investments that are available to them that are not available to other people. And this individual, he has a financial advisor. He invests in different asset classes. I don't mention some of those asset classes, but he invests in different asset classes plus mutual fund. And my question to him was, how much are you investing every year towards your mutual fund? And it's hundreds of thousands. And I was like, okay, have you considered separately managed accounts? You are an accredited investor. You should invest in mutual funds. There are advantages, but have you considered other options where you can have your own portfolio and you're going to get specific attention by an investment advisor for your portfolio rather than putting your money into a mutual fund where there are thousands and millions of people? Why not have your own small mini mutual fund where you decide what kind of stocks, bonds, and also ETFs that you should have in that portfolio? And in that conversation, he was telling me that it was not the option that was offered to me. And my advice was, talk to your advisor, mention about separately managed accounts, investments that are available to accredited investors. He went back, and guess what? The investment advisor was not licensed to do managed accounts. I am licensed to do managed accounts. That's why I have that knowledge. And I know the difference, the advantage of separately managed account compared to mutual fund. I can give you a couple of them, not advice for you, but it's kind of knowledge for you. For example, mutual funds, every mutual fund, they are relatively safe. I never knew any mutual fund which went zero, because they have like up to 100 and up to 150 company as portfolio. If one company fails, what's a big deal? Other companies are profitable, and therefore mutual funds, they are mutual. Why? Because they are very diverse. But there are prices that come with that diversity. One would be mutual funds that are required by law to have reserved up to 25% of their fund, because if somebody want to cash out today, they have to pay them. To do that, they have like 25% of their fund readily available, which basically means if you invest in mutual fund, 25% of your fund is not working for you. That's different in separately managed accounts. The second thing is every mutual fund, they're bound by the principle of not investing more than 5% of their portfolio fund into one company, which means if you choose a few companies' stock and go all in, you cannot do in mutual funds, only 5% per company. That gives you safety and security and diversity. But if you are a high earner, if you are accredited, you already have mutual fund for diversity. But if you want to use extra money, like 25,000, 500, 50,000, 100,000, because many of these managed accounts, they require certain minimum investment. This person had this option, but the person who was advising him always advised him to invest in mutual funds. That's a good thing at a certain point, but after that, that's not good. But this person has a hammer and always using that one hammer, telling him invest in mutual funds, You need a financial advisor who's, even if they're not licensed, they need to know the different options that are available to their clients. And even if they don't have the license, they should recommend their clients to someone who has the license, so that they have the best interest of their investors at heart. In conclusion, this is educational. I'm not advising anything. I want you to be an intelligent investor, and you should know your options, even if sometimes your investment advisors are not aware of, or maybe they don't have the license, but at least you know what kind of questions you should ask them. And if in case they don't have license to help you in certain areas, you should find other financial advisors for your need. Today, what we talked about me. A lot of people know me as a leadership guy and business broker, but since the COVID time, I have been reading, have been up to date. Sometimes people meet me now in the financial industry, they just cannot believe that I have all of these licenses. Some of the licenses, they couldn't pass the exams and they don't have those licenses. Or they don't see themselves, for example, selling to affluent and accredited investors, so that they don't have those kind of licenses. Within a short period of time, I have those licenses because I have been reading, I've been consuming voraciously different books on securities, and have been taking these all licenses, and I'm having everyday conversation with people, with financial advisors. And therefore, today, when I share with you what I know, it's based on years of reading, making conversations, and helping other investors like yourself. And I share with you for knowledge that these people I have had conversation, they should have known, or their investment advisors should have known. My hope is this: now you know your options. Next time when you meet your financial advisor, at least you know the kind of questions to ask them. If in case you don't have a financial advisor, you could reach out to me. If in case I'm not licensed in your state, I may know someone, and we can have educational conversation. Remember, my commitment, I don't look for the advisory fee or the commission fee. Remember my origin story. I was shocked how much I didn't know, how much price I paid, because I waited a couple of years to invest in certain areas, it cost me like tens of thousands of dollars. Looking back, I waited 20 years to understand these, and most probably it cost me hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not $1 million, because if you invest in something, that money may double in 6 years. Think about it, how many times my money would have doubled for the last 20 years. I didn't know that, and I don't want that to happen to anyone, especially if you are young. I know there is a temptation. Sometimes you think, I'm 20, I'm 30, I have time, but there is a cost in waiting. You wait a couple of years, you already lost tens of thousands of dollars, potential dollars. You wait 5, 6 years, maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars. You wait like me, hundreds, maybe even $1 million price you're paying. Discussion and education doesn't hurt you. It's uncomfortable. You're young. You're talking about what you're going to have when you retire at 65. I know, but you could save yourself and your family from so many financial struggles if you know little things and if you have the right people who are advising you and educating you. Thank you very much for watching. I look forward to see you with another video.